Little Bee by Chris Cleave explores the timeless question of how much one is willing to sacrifice to help another human being. In an interview, Cleave asks, "How much should we give? How much should we step outside our comfort zone to help someone into it?" He examines this question through the contemporary story of a Nigerian refugee and an English woman. Sarah's and Little Bee's lives collide on a Nigerian beach while Sarah is on a vacation with her husband. They are confronted by an angry group of men who are involved in the Nigerian oil wars. The men wish to kill Little Bee and her sister in order to keep them from speaking about what they saw in their village. One of the men tells Sarah that if she cuts off her finger, he will let Little Bee live. Sarah cuts off her finger without hesitation. This is the beginning of Sarah and Little Bee's friendship. Throughout the novel, both Little Bee and Sarah struggle with loneliness, despite living in London, one of the most diverse cities in the world. She's lonely because her family is dead, and she was forced to escape her native homeland of Nigeria. Because she was mistakenly released from the refugee center in London, she is a fugitive in her country of refuge as well. Sarah's isolation stems from her failing relationship with her husband's death, and her inability to connect with her son. Cleave portrays Sarah as a person who has everything she needs: a good job, a nice house, and a family. But despite all of this, she still feels unfulfilled and alone. This is Cleave's way of making a statement about the fast-paced lives and the materialism that has consumed today's society. Because of this, people's sense of community has vanished, and they are less invested in the well-being of those around them. Sarah and Little Bee are able to defy this growing cultural phenomenon. Even though they have suffered great emotional loss, they remain resilient and are able to extend compassion and friendship toward one another. Sarah and Little Bee's emotional scars allow them to give each other immense strength. This bond filled the emotional void that was present in each of their lives. Cleave juxtaposes the lives of Sarah and Little Bee in order to show how their shared isolation allows their friendship to blossom. Cleave alludes to the theme of compassion when Sarah instinctively cuts off her finger in order to save Little Bee. This causes readers to wonder whether one human being should be willing to sacrifice anything for another human being, and if so, how much. As a whole, the novel Little Bee examines individual identities and the journey of seeking a purpose in life. Sarah finally found fulfillment by her mission to save Little Bee. Little Bee found her personal identity and finally feels like she belongs. This is all due to her friendship with Sarah and her connection with Sarah's son, Charlie. By allowing both Little Bee and Sarah to narrate throughout the novel, Cleave illuminates their distinct personalities and thoughts. It also gives the reader insight into their unique perspectives. In the beginning of the novel, Little Bee says, "Most days, I wish I was a British pound coin instead of an African girl. Everyone would be pleased to see me coming. A pound coin can go wherever it thinks it will be safest. It can cross deserts and oceans and leave the sound of gunfire and the bitter smell of burning thatch behind. Of course, a pound coin can be serious, too. It can disguise itself as power or property, and there is nothing more serious when you are a girl who has neither." By including this analogy, Cleave alludes to Little Bee's hopes and dreams. It is also a reference to the overwhelming materialism which values money over people. People care for and worry about their money much more than they care for and take care of their relationships. Despite all of their struggles, Little Bee and Sarah remain resilient and move past all that has happened to them. Little Bee says, "I ask you right here, please, to agree with me that a scar is never ugly. That is what the scar makers want us to think. But you and I, we must make an agreement to defy them. We must see all scars as beauty, okay? This will be our secret. Because take it from me, a scar does not form when the dying. A scar means I survived."